It is almost 2011. A new year is upon us. To celebrate the new year, we will initiate a work project on frozen Hughes Creek. This work project is inspired by Andy Goldsworthy's DVD program titled Rivers and Tides. Let's begin. We are going to embark on an Adam Goldsworthy project this cold, wintry day in western Montana. It is the 30th of December, almost the new year, so a good time to put a project in place, a work in place, down on the ice on Hughes Creek. So more about that later. Well, here we are in this stand of Ponderosa pine at the back of the property. We're going to collect some Ponderosa pine cones from underneath these mature trees that are about 200 years old. The pine cones are covered by several inches of snow, so we brought a rake and we brought a black bucket to collect the pine cones for the project that will take place in a little while down at Hughes Creek. It's a snowy, wintry day, and we have the snowshoes on today to help with the movement around the Ponderosa pine. So to continue our project with the pine cones, here's our first collection site under the Ponderosa pine trees. The rake we've used to brush back the snow and pry out the pine cones from the layer under the snow that's rather frozen. And then here is the object of our excavation, the Ponderosa pine cones, very weathered after laying here for quite a few years. It's kind of like collecting truffles in the wintertime. Well, Shane, maybe we have enough pine cones to get the work started. Down at Hughes Creek, we have about a half a bucket full of pine cones, and maybe we can take them down there and find out if we have enough to begin to make some headway on this. So our work in progress on December 30th, 2010 is underway, and you're beginning to get the idea that it is a rather sinuous trail of Ponderosa pine cones down the center of Hughes Creek, and where it ends at this point no one knows. But it's kind of an invigorating exercise out here in weather a foot deep of snow and temperatures down around 8 degrees and getting colder. So back to the project, back to the work, and we'll see where it takes us. Rather than a tide of sea coming and going, we're going to have a tide of snowfalls coming and going, low tides and high tides of snowfalls, until the pine cones are hidden again by snow before the spring runoff. Here we are at work project site number 2 on Hughes Creek, frozen Hughes Creek, a couple hundred feet above work site number 1 from this morning. Ponderosa pine cones are ready, and we're going to start laying them out. on this icy channel of Hughes Creek. The creek running beneath us and the west slope cutthroat trout swimming underneath us. So let's get started. So there go the Hughes Creek turkeys, heading over to the neighbors, looking for some sunflower seeds and scratch. So still a little more history near the Pinecone project in Hughes Creek. This is one of the first Forest Service cabins ever built by Forest Service rangers back at the end of the 1800s. Let's go over and see what that sign has to say. Well, here we are at the sign of the old Alta Ranger Station, built in 1899 by Rangers H.C. Tuttle and Than Wilkerson. Pretty famous old cabin with a sod roof, still maintaining its presence in 2010 up the Hughes Creek drainage in western Montana. December 31, 2010, Christmas Eve Day. About to usher in a new year at midnight tonight. Temperature this morning was minus 10 degrees after a very clear, cold night. So we're about to resume the Pinecone project at Hughes Creek. We've collected another couple bushels of cones here on New Year's Eve Day. We'll leave the collection site now and head down to Hughes Creek, work project number 2, to complete the chain of pine cones on the icy roof over Hughes Creek. It is January 1, 2001, or 1111. How about that for a great beginning to a new year? Number 1 year, 2011. To commemorate the number 1 year, we're going to be extending the trail of Ponderosa pine cones around the corner in the distance. We are about to begin right now. To commemorate this Goldsworthy-inspired Ponderosa pine cone trail in Montana, we have left the image of 1111 on the ice over Hughes Creek on this first day of the year 2011. What a magnificent day. Cold again, minus 10 last night, but sparkling blue skies today as we come down to continue the trail of the pine cones that now extends almost around the corner. So here's the 1111. March 31, 2011. It does look now like maybe the Hughes Creek cover of ice and snow is going to go away, and we'll be back to fishing for West Slope cutthroat trout in the free-running Hughes Creek. That's pretty nice. Here we are at the site of Hughes Creek Work Project number 2 that was put in place, as you recall, on January 1, 2011. The sinuous layout of Ponderosa pine cones on the snow and ice over Hughes Creek, with the full knowledge that come springtime, Mother Nature would have her way, and these cones would go downstream into the West Fork of the Bitterroot River, and then into the Bitterroot River. Across Hughes Creek are the rest of the pine cones in this work project trail of cones. So all the cones between both banks have gone on down the river. The cones have truly come out of hibernation now, as all of their snow cover has melted, and the winding chain of cones down to Hughes Creek, open water, is about to release more cones into the stream in the next few days. They'll be traveling down this way a short ways into the West Fork of the Bitterroot River. A fun project that has about met its end. April 2nd, 2011, we can write the final chapter to the Pinecone project at Hughes Creek. Spring high water runoff has arrived, and with it the pine cones, the last of the pine cones on that snow shelf, are about to go into the water. And we will say goodbye to a Andy Goldsworthy project that has come to a fitting conclusion here at Hughes Creek. It was fun while it lasted.